Welcome to the Explainer. So if you've ever stepped out of a starting zone in a massive MMO and just immediately felt that heavy wave of map paralysis, that completely overwhelming feeling of staring at endless continents and thinking, where do I even begin? Well, you are definitely not alone. It happens to the best of us, honestly. But today we're going to fix that. We've put together a curated, highly actionable travelogue to completely demystify the map of the Immortal Realm. By the time we wrap up, you're going to know exactly where to go, what to avoid, and how to navigate the whole shebang like a seasoned veteran. To get us there, let's look at our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The 80-20 city rule. 2. Britain, the civic spine. 3. Halls and specialty curators. 4. Dungeons and Felucca risks. And 5. Pro navigation tips. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the 80-20 city rule. Before we even pack our virtual bags, I want to share a highly comforting reality about city visitation that should instantly relieve any new player anxiety you might have. The ultimate solution to map fatigue is simply realizing you do not need to memorize every single town, village, and outpost right off the bat. Seriously, you don't. Why? Because practically speaking, a typical player spends about 80% of their time in just 2 or 3 core cities. You've basically got Britain, your personal home city, and maybe one specialty city based on your character's class. All those other sprawling locations, they literally just make up a tiny fraction of your day-to-day gameplay. Now, you might be looking for a glowing dotted line in your minimap to guide you around, but the developers took a wildly different approach here. The source material states it perfectly. Spoiler, light is the design rule. The world is part of what you discover. They actually hide exact coordinates for many locations on purpose. So instead of seeing this lack of GPS data as an obstacle, I want you to look at it as an exciting, intentional invitation to adventure. You're actually supposed to walk the cities, ask around in chat, and, explore. Moving right along to Section 2, Britain, the civic spine. Let's zoom in on the single, most absolutely crucial location in the game. Britain isn't just another city. It's the civic spine of the entire world. It's the undisputed anchor of the Immortal Realm, where almost everything eventually routes through. Whether you're hunting down the central auction house, checking the Trammel bounty board for writs at the warden's compound, or trying to interact with the civic orders, Britain is the foundational hub for literally every player. Honestly, if you memorize nothing else today, memorize Britain. But, of course, you are going to branch out eventually. Once you have your footing in Britain, you'll want to pick your specialty cities, and each one caters to a really specific play style or resource need. New Haven is probably where your journey starts, lots of welcome quests and starter content. But Vesper? That is the undisputed crafting hub and fishing village. If you want to be a paladin, you are heading straight to Trinsic. Mages, you're going to Moonglow for the Mage Tower. And if you're swinging a pickaxe all day, Minnock is your dwarven-themed mining hub. You just pick the city that matches your goals. Okay, Section 3, Halls and Specialty Curators. Now that we've got a bird's eye view of the broad city streets, let's zoom in a little closer to the specialized halls and hidden archives. This is where the true institutional interactions happen, the civic halls. This is where you conduct serious game business. Over in Britain, you've got the College Hall for the College of Chirurgeons. That's where you go for examinations, treatments, and finding Master Aldrich Vermeer. Also in Britain is the High Ledger Hall for public records and contracts, overseen by Keeper Marcellus Vane. And while if you're looking for something a bit more shadowy, the Velvet Hand Hall is out in Buccaneer's Den, where you can join up with Sable Wren. Just remember, they don't hand out exact coordinates for these spots. You've got to explore or ask around to find the doors. And beyond the formal halls, there are specialty curators scattered across the world that you absolutely want to track down. You've got Silas Rivers, the old angler, hanging out at fishing villages. Rosewind Greencoat manages the Beast Collection. Archivist Thalen runs the Lost Recoveries Archive, where you trade for legendary fragments. Oh, and I absolutely love this. King Whiskers is an actual cat collection NPC who physically rotates his walking route between different cities and temples. No way, right? The world just feels so alive because these curators are actively a part of it. Next up, Section 4, Dungeons and Felucca risks. All right, leaving the safety of the civic spine, we're panning across the dangerous, monster-filled frontiers. When you are finally ready to test your mettle, the major dungeons operate on this really fascinating thematic system. You're just walking into generic caves. Destard is strictly for dragons. Deceit is packed with undead, ghosts, and liches. Shame features earth elementals and gargoyles. And High Nuntloth is home to high-tier demons. Now, what's super important to grasp here is that difficulty dynamically scales by depth and zone. The game doesn't just assign a flat difficulty number to the whole dungeon. A level 1 spawn right at the entrance is totally different content than the terrifying boss room encounter at the very bottom.
But here is where the map literally splits into two distinct realities: Trammel versus Felucca. Up to this point, much of what we've talked about is primarily in Trammel, which is your standard difficulty, largely protected facet of the world. Felucca, on the other hand, features the exact same dungeon layouts and the exact same cities, but the difficulty scales much, much harder, and it is entirely open PvP. It's a high-stakes, ruthless frontier.
So, why would you ever risk your neck traveling to Felucca? Champion spawns. These are high-risk, deeply PvP contested encounters that drop highly coveted power scrolls. It is the ultimate risk versus reward system. But keep in mind, the danger isn't just down in the dungeons. If you travel to a Felucca city, there are 0 guards in the non-protected zones. You are entirely on your own out there.
Finally, Section 5, Pro Navigation Tips.
Moving into the logistical phase, we need to equip you with the practical tools to survive. Now, you might be wondering about the number 0. Why focus on 0? Because stepping into a moon gate to fast travel between any of the major cities costs absolutely 0 skill points. It is completely free. You just walk into the gate, pick your destination from the menu, and boom, you are instantly there. Speaking of moon gates, let's talk about managing your hard-earned loot. The devs made a brilliant design choice here. Almost every single city's bank is visibly placed right near the Moongate arrival point. So to access your wealth, simply locate the Moongate Plaza, find the nearby banker, stand right next to them, and literally just type the word bank. That's it. Your bank box opens up, and the best part? That box is shared across all characters on your entire account.
To wrap up our logistics, let's synthesize all of this geography into a rapid-fire rundown of the most common mistakes new players make. Number 1. Do not try to memorize every city at once. Remember the 80-20 rule. Number 2, do not ignore Britain. It is your civic spine. Number 3, stop refusing to use moongates. They're free. Next, do not, under any circumstances, travel to Felucca cities at a low-skill level, or you are going to have a bad time right outside the Moongate Plaza. And lastly, if you are a crafter, do not skip Vesper. It is the crafting hub for a reason. And that wraps up our highly structured tour. You now have the insider info to avoid the pitfalls, utilize the hubs, and brave the depths. So I leave you with this. Armed with the insider's itinerary and knowing that the world is built to be discovered, which mysterious corner of the Immortal Realm will you explore first? Thanks for hanging out for this explainer. Stay safe out there and happy exploring.